At my wedding, when everyone stood waiting for me to walk down the aisle, my cousin did the unthinkable. She grabbed my groom's face and kissed him in front of everyone. The crowd gasped, my parents froze, and whispers spread like wildfire. My heart stopped, but I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just smiled because deep inside I knew something no one else knew. What I did next shocked everyone, and by the next morning, it was already too late. My name is Sarah, and if you've ever trusted someone so much only for them to stab you in the back, you'll understand the fire that was burning inside me that day. From the outside, my life looked perfect. I was marrying the man I loved, surrounded by family and friends, in a beautiful hall decorated with roses and white satin. But what people didn't know was that behind my smile, I carried months of secrets, suspicions, and pain that no bride should ever feel on her wedding day. It all started a year before the wedding, when my cousin Lily moved into town. Lily was the type of girl everyone noticed when she entered a room. Blonde hair, sparkling eyes, and a confidence that made people think she owned the world. She was my aunt's daughter, and since she didn't have a stable job, my family welcomed her warmly, offering her a place to stay and even helping her with expenses. At first, I was happy. I thought, finally, I'll have a close cousin here, like a sister. I couldn't have been more wrong. Lily had a habit of taking things that weren't hers. Clothes, makeup, attention. It didn't matter. If she wanted it, she'd find a way to make it hers. My mother used to laugh and say, "That's just Lily's way," but I started noticing something darker. She had her eyes on my fiancé, Daniel. At first, I brushed it off as paranoia. Daniel was charming, and naturally, people liked him. But then I began to notice Lily sitting too close to him at family dinners, laughing too loudly at his jokes, touching his arm a little too casually. It was subtle, but as a woman, I felt it. My gut told me she was testing boundaries. I tried talking to Daniel about it once. We were sitting in the park, watching the sunset. I asked him, "Do you notice how Lily acts around you?" He looked at me with genuine confusion. "Sarah, she's your cousin. She's just being friendly. Don't overthink it." His words were sweet, but his dismissiveness only made me more uneasy. Then came the night of my bridal shower. We were playing games, opening gifts, and celebrating. I left my phone on the table while I went to get drinks. When I came back, I noticed Lily glancing at it nervously. Something inside me made me suspicious. Later that night, when everyone had left, I checked my phone and saw something that broke me a string of messages between Lily and Daniel. It wasn't full-blown romance, but it was enough. She had been texting him things like, "You deserve better than Sarah," and "If you were with me, life would be more exciting." Daniel's replies were short, polite, but not harsh enough to shut her down. He never told me about it, and that hurt more than the messages themselves. That night, I cried myself to sleep, but the next morning, my tears dried, and something inside me hardened. I decided that if Lily wanted to play games, I would play too, but smarter. Quietly, I began planning. In the weeks leading up to the wedding, I pretended everything was fine. I smiled, I laughed, I let Lily help with the arrangements, and I acted like I didn't notice her whispering things to Daniel when she thought I wasn't looking. But behind the scenes, I was digging. I went through old conversations, checked her social media, and even spoke to a friend of hers. What I found made my blood boil. Lily wasn't just after Daniel. She had a history of sleeping with her friends' boyfriends, causing chaos, and then acting innocent. She thrived on drama. The more I learned, the more determined I became. I didn't want just to stop her. I wanted her to feel the kind of humiliation she was trying to give me. Finally, the wedding day arrived. The church was filled with people, the decorations were perfect, and everything looked like a fairy tale. My dress flowed behind me like a dream, and as I stood at the entrance, ready to walk down the aisle, I took a deep breath. This was the moment. But before the ceremony could begin, Lily made her move. She walked right up to Daniel in front of everyone, grabbed his face, and kissed him. Gasps echoed through the room. My mother covered her mouth, my father shouted her name, and Daniel pushed her away, looking shocked and furious. Lily, with tears in her eyes, screamed, "You don't love her. You love me. Tell them, Daniel." The room went silent. Everyone turned to Daniel, waiting for his response. My heart pounded in my chest, but I didn't flinch. I just smiled because this was exactly what I had been waiting for. Daniel, red with embarrassment, stammered, "Lily, what's wrong with you? Stop this nonsense. I don't love you. I'm marrying Sarah because I love her." But Lily didn't stop. She fell to her knees, crying, begging him to admit his true feelings. Guests started whispering, some even pulling out their phones to record. It was chaos. And then, slowly, I walked forward. The room parted as I made my way to the front, my veil trailing behind me. I reached the altar, looked Lily dead in the eyes, and said, "Are you done? Because now it's my turn." The room froze. Lily's face twisted with confusion, and Daniel looked at me nervously. Everyone expected me to slap her, to scream, or to run away crying. But I did none of that. I had something much bigger planned. The church was silent. You could hear the sound of my heels echoing against the marble floor as I stepped closer to Daniel and Lily. Her hands were trembling, her lipstick smudged from that desperate kiss, and her eyes darted between me and Daniel like a cornered animal. Everyone was waiting for me to explode, but instead, I looked calm, almost excited. I reached for the microphone the officiant had been holding and said loud enough for the entire room to hear, "I knew this would happen. I was counting on it." The crowd gasped. Daniel's eyes widened. Lily froze. I smiled at her, tilting my head. "You see, Lily, I've known for months about your little obsession with my fiancé. I've seen the texts, the flirty comments, the way you threw yourself at him. Did you really think I'd walk into my wedding day blind?" People in the pews began whispering, pulling out their phones, recording. My father muttered something under his breath, but my mother grabbed his arm, her eyes glued on me. Daniel stepped forward, his voice trembling. "Sarah, I didn't." I held up my hand. "Don't. You didn't cheat, but you didn't stop her either, did you? You let it go on. You kept it from me. And today, she thought she could humiliate me in front of everyone." Lily jumped to her feet, shouting, "You're lying. He loves me. He's just scared to admit it." Her voice cracked, desperate and wild. That's when I pulled out my phone. I had prepared for this moment. With one click, the projector lit up the big screen behind us. Gasps filled the room as screenshots of Lily's messages appeared. Her late-night texts, her photos she had sent him, even recordings of phone calls where she whispered about wanting to replace me. The whispers turned into shocked exclamations. My uncle covered his face in shame. My aunt, Lily's own mother, whispered, "Oh my God." I stepped closer to Lily, my voice calm, but cutting like glass. "This is who you are, Lily. You've ruined friendships, betrayed people, and now you tried to ruin my wedding. But here's the twist, this wedding was never for you to ruin." Daniel looked at me, pale and sweating. "Sarah, what are you saying?" I turned to him, my eyes burning. with a mix of love and betrayal. Daniel, I loved you, but love without respect is worthless. You may not have kissed her back, but you let this go on for months. You let me doubt myself. And today, you stood here, looking shocked, but deep down, you knew she'd pull something like this. You just hoped I'd be too blind to see it. He shook his head, panicked. No, Sarah, please. I only want you. I cut him off again. Do you really? Or do you just want the version of me who ignores red flags and stays quiet? The room was dead silent. Guests held their breath. Lily smirked through her tears, thinking she had won. That's when I dropped the final bomb. I turned back to the audience, my voice steady. This wedding isn't happening, not because of Lily, but because I refuse to marry a man who can't protect me from betrayal, even when it's standing right in front of him. Gasps, murmurs. Daniel's face collapsed in shock. And then, with a small smile, I looked toward the back of the hall. A tall figure stepped forward, Michael. My childhood friend, the one who had been there for me when Daniel dismissed my worries, the one who had encouraged me to trust my instincts. People's jaws dropped as Michael walked to the front, carrying a small velvet box. He looked at Daniel, then at me, and said, "Are you sure, Sarah?" I nodded, my heart steady. Yes. Michael opened the box. Inside was not a ring, but the key to the apartment we had secretly bought together weeks ago. The truth hit the room like thunder. I hadn't just planned this moment to expose Lily. I had been preparing my escape from Daniel too. Daniel stammered, his voice breaking. You planned this." I looked him dead in the eyes. Every second. The church erupted in chaos. Some guests were furious, some applauded, some were crying. Lily screamed, "This isn't fair. She's lying. He loves me." But no one believed her anymore. Her reputation was destroyed, her family ashamed. I handed the microphone back, walked down the aisle with Michael by my side, and left the hall. Behind me, Daniel called my name again and again.